This is Tuesday, June 7th. There are 42 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con Unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE, go.
Oh my god, I love Live Journal, and my Live Journal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, refuse 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple, it looks dreamy.
Hello all, I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us.
And also joining us this week, Erin Tapkin.
Hello.
And our special guest this week is Dov Kelemer of DKE Toys. All right, so this is week 5 of the podcast, and there is no June gloom here because Comic-Con is next month. We'll take your comments and questions during the show. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast. We'll also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. But first up, let's talk to Dov. And Carrie, why don't you kick it off?
All right. So for anyone who isn't familiar, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about DKE?
First of all, thanks guys for having me on the show. It's really a pleasure. I really love all the work that you do. My name's Dov. I run a company from called DKE Toys. And DKE Toys has sort of evolved over the years. The quick story is years ago, we started doing, vintage collectibles and toys, and then sort of graduated into wholesaling liquidations. And then that morphed into becoming a designer toy distributor. And then I sold that company about 2016. And ever since then, the thing I sort of like hung on to was this little niche of the designer toy scene, which are a group of artists whose medium is action figure, who have decided that making a handmade action figure is the way that they want to express themselves. And so we've sort of become the hub for, I would say, where a lot of people starting out like to present, their work to the world. And we do 3 conventions a year. And for all of those conventions, all of these artists make exclusives for us. And that's how we met you guys, because you guys are always covering our exclusives, which we appreciate so much. Did that answer?
They're honestly I always request to do the post. I'm always like, Carrie, please send it to me. I'd like to post them. So they're some of our favorites. At least they're definitely some of the ones that get us talking the most.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
We definitely try. I mean, we're not really responsible for much of the content, but definitely it's sort of a magical little space that these artists get to work in. And because it's art, because it's handmade, because they sit there and paint them and they're signed and numbered limited editions, they can pretty much think of anything and make whatever they want. And it without, someone's like stamp of approval on it saying that like, yes, this is approved. Like you can do this with my character. Like you look at most of these things when the Sublord first created this character in 2005, like, Disney or Lucasfilm, they'd never go near this. Like, this is like, no way. And this is the 10th year anniversary edition of this one. And in 2004 is going to be the 20th anniversary of this, first figure that sort of, started it all. So it's an exciting field to work in, and it makes me happy, and I get to see all this stuff firsthand. And it's the creativity is always it's always up here.
Now, some of your creators, they create molds and they're pouring their own plastic and doing it that way. Do some of them also reuse older figures or recycled, using recycled parts?
I think you get a little bit of everything. So the amount of skill that is involved in creating this, from the figure design to the sculpting to the graphic design to the printing, the execution, the painting, and then the assembly. There are a few unicorns in the scene that can just do everything, but most people need help doing something. So yes, there are some artists that sculpt and can do everything from scratch. The Sucklord, when he started, was, even though he had a background in sculpting, I mean, he was a kit basher. You know, he did take the different pieces, you know, the elongated crotch piece there, like he had to sculpt that, right? But the legs came from a Stormtrooper and the body came from, I don't even know where that body came from. You know, it's like, and so yes, they are using different pieces from, you know, all different parts of, you know, the toy world. And then some people are sculpting stuff from scratch. And a lot of the fun is being able to see, you know, what stuff was sculpted from. So here's a Ron English MC supersize, and that was sculpted from scratch and made to look like it has articulation, even though these are hand poured resin figures, and if you drop them they'll break, and most people don't articulate them because, you know, pulling this out of a mold is one piece, and the crazy artists who do articulate their figures, it means they have to pull 7 pieces, head, 2 arms, 2 hands, and then the body in 2 pieces that comes apart to hold it all together. And that's a next level crazy. This one artist, Rika, always has flat backs, as you can see, because he only cares how it displays on the front, doesn't bother to paint the back, and then the back is glued. But like you see, everything's assigned a numbered piece. So there are some people who, you know, maybe have an idea for something and it just requires, I don't know, 10 Darth Vaders, and then they can go procure 10 Darth Vaders. But that might be more expensive than casting a figure. So it just depends. We have a lot of artists now who are sculpting their own pieces out of wood, doing ceramic. I don't know, it's sort of like all over the map. Like if it fits in a blister, someone's done it. It's kind of crazy.
And that was actually one of my questions, is if you could give a couple examples of some artists who are using some unconventional, or what we would think of as unconventional materials for action figures.
I think one of my favorites right now is named Edwin Salas, and he makes everything out of wood. And so if he makes 20 rocket firing Boba Fett's, he's actually sculpting out of wood 20 rocket firing Boba Fett's, and articulating them and painting them, and the rocket works. It's just, you know, sort of mind blowing. Another artist we work with is Mark Todd, and Mark Todd is not someone who would normally, cast resin. So he sculpts his own figure, and then I have that cast for him and then give them to him, and then he hand paints each one. So it's sort of like all over the place. This is a set here by Buzzard Guts called Super Star World. And you can see that he's appropriated the Bespin Guard from Empire Strikes Back. And he's got his little hammer. And then this is the Turtle Minion, which looks like Bosk arms and a Walrus Man body. And I don't know, is that a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle head? I don't know. Someone's commenting right now. It's like, no, stupid. It's, this. Here's a Bespin Leia that he turned into the princess. So there's no shortage of creativity, and everyone's got all this crazy stuff they do, and everyone's trying to one-up each other all the time. So other artist, Joshua Hoagland, made this series for us called Space Moms. And he's gone through all the Cantina aliens, and there's always a little baby that comes in there. And then this was the Snaggletooth one, but he did it as a little, like...
That's so fun. Yeah.
What do you call this?
Like a hulas.
A little hula dancer, right?
Yeah.
Not easy to do. And, in order to get this to work, like, sort of has to jimmy it here by, putting the wire to keep it still, because the other figures just sort of, bounce around. like that. So some people glue their figures to the back. So, there's, like I said, there's a wide variety of artists doing this with all different skill levels. What I find the most interesting about the scene is that while skill is important, really it's a conceptual medium. And if you come up with a great concept and it's funny and your execution is not all the way there, it still sells. And the stuff sometimes where, execution is amazing, but concept isn't as good, that's not as exciting, I think, to most people.
Well, that's one thing I've always thought that was interesting about the DKE releases. And you touched on something that with the humor is some of the things seem that they're clearly made just for humor purposes, but then there's also ones that have a political statement, reflections of society on both good and bad. And what do you personally think that makes action figures such a great vehicle for these subjects?
I mean, I think action figures are great just to begin with, just the plain basic action figures. Like, I grew up with them. It's something that I have nostalgia for. And so I can't speak for everyone in the world who's into this, but I'm assuming that, like, if you have nostalgia for something and then someone takes it and sort of like tweaks it and turns it on its side, it does, it sort of gives you the feels and you're like, oh, wow. And I've seen that. It's one of my favorite like experiences is when I'm doing a convention and there's a figure out on the table and someone walks by and it makes them stop walking. Right. And then the even better reaction is the punch in the gut, where they look at that and they go, oh, and then, you could see the wallet comes out and then I have to own that. And there's a few key times where that has happened. The most significant one, I think, was with Special Ed Toys. It was called, it was Alien versus Predator. And it was E.T. versus Michael Jackson. And people would walk by and they'd see the Michael Jackson and the E.T. and they'd go, oh, and it was a double figure set. Like, sorry, I don't have it here to show you, but it fit together like this. Yeah. And they look at it and they'd say, oh, that's so cool. Michael Jackson. And they'd read it, Alien versus Predator. And you could just see that, like, oh, my childhood got like ripped apart, and that's really a lot of fun.
So, with that being the subject matter at times, have you ever had to tell an artist to dial it back a little bit, or are you just like, let the artist do what the artists are going to do?
Well, I'm not responsible for the content. I have to look out for ourselves and make sure that it is clear that what we're presenting to people is what they call transformative art. Like, I'm not a lawyer, right? But I know that if someone submits something to me and so let's say when Stranger Things was popular, right? When it was popular, when it's still popular, when it first came out, I would say like 3 or 4 artists approached me and said, hey, I'd like to do a Stranger Things figure. He's like, well, I can't carry that. I can't carry a figure where you're going to write Stranger Things. And even though you're a great sculptor, you're going to sculpt this figure and sell it as this, I don't know, just what I would call it's still a piece of art. It's still this person's interpretation of what it would be like, but there's still a trademark logo on there. It's not a political comment. It is not a mashup or a parody. It's not where the artist has taken some element of something and made it their own. And so back to Special Ed, he pitched me that same year. He says, I want to make Stranger Wars and call it Princess L, and then she's going to have a little buns on the side of her head. That's like bingo, right? That's amazing. And then everybody wanted that figure because that's something that can't exist. But the licensees for Stranger Things are likely walking around San Diego. They will see that. And not only that, even if we could get away with it, in a year or two, when the licensed toys come out, how are you going to feel when you have, you paid $50, $75, or $100 for this person's interpretation, and now there's like the $10 or $15 version. It doesn't, doesn't sit well. There are a lot of artists in our scene that make generally smaller editions or one-of-a-kind toys who are very talented, but their work is essentially translating something from real life into an action figure, but a very and they look so good they could be in a store, right? And unfortunately, and a lot of those artists are my friends, but I can't sell that at a convention. And I can't sell that, period. They could probably get away with it if you make one is original piece of art. As soon as we start making 10 or 20 pieces, even though it's a multiple original, this has changed so much. And this is, if McDonald's contacted Ron English, he's gonna fight back. This is constitutionally protected speech. This is parody. This is clearly not fooling anyone that this is really Ronald McDonald, right? It might be fat shaming, and that's probably not okay, but that's a whole issue. I don't know. So I'm careful about that. I'm not an art director. I don't tell people what to do, but they do have to, pitch me their idea, and I always give my 2 cents. I'm not always right. But my general advice to these artists is you can sell your own work yourself, right? If you're going to give me a cut and let us put our promotional machine behind it, you might as well put your best foot forward. And it might as well be your best idea. And if people don't know who you are, this is what they're going to remember you by. Just make sure it's amazing. And, maybe that's luck. I'm sure there's some skill involved. I don't know. It generally works out. So
you mentioned that the print runs usually are pretty small in 10s, 20s, 30s. What do you think, or how do you decide if something's worthy of coming to Comic-Con and being one of your Comic-Con exclusives versus, as you mentioned, you do your own DKE Con, or you go to one of the other 2 or 3 other conventions throughout the year?
Right. We treat all 3 of the conventions that we do each year the same. We do a DKE Con here in March, which is a virtual show. We do San Diego Comic-Con in July, and we do Designer Con in November. And people have ideas. Sometimes they can't get stuff done in time. It's just the 3 dates on the calendar. It's not about choosing. It's really about what people can get us. And then it just has an issue to do with selling. 20 is sort of our minimum, because below that, the cost to promote it is too great, and it's very hard to make money unless it's a very expensive piece. And so that sort of seems like a good number, but if it's a great idea, it's not enough. And so sometimes I see something and I encourage people to make more, but generally I'm pushing people to make less. Typically, we'd rather sell out and have the person make another version of it later. Most recently, this artist Kidding Toy, his name's Fat O from Thailand. He's done these puffy jacket figures. And when we started, he wanted to do, I forget, these were editions of 100. And maybe 100 was too much, but originally he wanted to do 25. At 25, we would have sold out in 10 minutes. So, it's hard to predict, the numbers, and all of these are available at DKEToys.com if you go to our shop. Look at that detail in there, the paint job and everything. It's kind of crazy. So it's hard to predict. Less is generally better, but I'm not a good predictor. If I was a good predictor, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be sitting on a beach having a Mai Tai or something. Right.
So I know that you said that you treat all conventions sort of the same, but what do you think makes San Diego Comic-Con special?
I mean, San Diego's kind of a unicorn, in the world. It is. I have tried selling what we do, which is a super specialized niche of a niche. So, because first there's like toy collectors, and then there's action figure collectors, and then there's art toy collectors, and then there's this small little niche of art action figures, right? That is just, and they're relatively expensive. I mean, for artwork, they're very inexpensive, but compared to an action figure, they're more expensive. And I can't just set up at a regular convention and hope that people will wander up and really like pay for our table. And San Diego is a confluence of like all of these industries all together in the same room from all over the world for this 5-day period of time. So you have the comic industry, the toy industry, the video game, movie, television, you name it, they're all there. All the creatives are there across all platforms. And all those creative people, those are the people that are buying from us.
Yeah.
The kid that shows up at Comic-Con for his $10 pop figure and his signed poster, or, whatever, like they come by and they snap photos, but we're sort of like the weird restaurant that all the chefs go to eat like after they get off work. Right? It's a super refined taste that you have to be able to look at something like this and then not only appreciate it for, here's a banana man, right?
Amazing.
To appreciate like the artistry, that to identify that this is not a $10 toy. Someone actually made each one of these by hand. And and I see, it's like the Mattel employees that are buying from us, and the Funko employees, and the other artists and the comic artists in the room. That's who's coming to buy from us. And sometimes it's what I even notice is hard to get those people, even though I'd start to know some of them. I'm like, hey, this is coming out. It's hard to get them to actually go to your website and actually buy something. There's something about being there in the room, being able to peruse it all and then say, I want this and this and this. So I think that's what makes the room special. And I've tried to replicate it at other shows, and it does not exist.
Yeah. For me, that's one of my favorite things about San Diego Comic-Con. It's just, there's all the flavors basically of the rainbow that you could ever want. And there's, no matter what you're into, like you're going to find your people. But how long has DKE actually been exhibiting at the convention?
I think this is going to be our 15th year.
Wow.
I think so. But you got to remember the first 8 years were just as a designer toy distributor. And we might have had one action figure, or two action figures on display. Like we might have had the Gay Empire figure on display in 2005, like 2006, whenever our first year was.
Yeah.
And then it slowly changed because the show changed. It used to be where all the buyers from all of our stores that bought from us went to like connect and see everything that was coming out. And then the internet sort of changed all that. And then it started becoming a very expensive show to go to. And then the younger generation that's on 3 phones getting their tickets, and the older generation being like, why am I trying to kill myself trying to buy tickets? And this is not worth it. I'll just stay home. It's like, so, and then the show just became more about like selling stuff for us rather than, trying to promote, where we would just promote all year online. So,
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the 2011 collection that you had, the Buona Spoons collection? You had more than, I think it was 100 original paintings of the vintage Star Wars figures and accompanied by the actual figure. That was the first time I remember seeing you guys at Comic-Con, and that it absolutely blew my mind. It was very jaw-dropping, and I've never forgotten about that. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys put that together?
I met Buana, and I was trying to commission some artwork, and I don't remember how the idea started. I'm sure he does, but he painted a figure and he sent it to me, and he just told me how much he wanted. And then he was trying to fill out his vintage, loose figure collection. And so look at Ian here. Bringing the whole, I still own them all.
That was going to be part of my question on whether or not the paintings
I basically commissioned him to do a painting for every vintage action figure that was in my collection, and I had most of them with a few variations. He has since put out the first volume of a zine that has republished all of these, and I believe they're available on his site. It's not too expensive. It might be like $10 for volume 1. And so this project just sort of started, and as in those early years, we were just trying to promote stuff. We were just trying to get people to the booth. And so we set them up in, had to rent one of those showcases from Freeman, and it cost $800 or something crazy. And we found that yellow paper, which was the same color as the back of the Kenner cards. And then we set up all of the figures with the art. It was the art next to each figure, and I don't know, just everyone just came by and tried to buy the stuff, and I was like, no, it's my collection, I'm sorry. And then it all just sort of went into these little binders here, and it's just stayed here ever since. So I don't know, they're just he just has his name's Buana Spoons, it's Bwana, and he just has
they're really they're joyful, but I don't think unsettling is the right word, but they're joyful, but there's something about them.
I mean, and the detail, they're all on handmade paper. And sometimes let's say for the Death Star droid, it's just like the leg there with that detail. And this is just Luke's butt with Buana's, it's like as if a kid, played with the toys. And this was one of the first ones, was this Walrus Man. It was one of my favorites, and they were small, they were inexpensive for me to collect at the time. That was a lot of years ago, and it's something that every month or so he would send me a few more, and then it got to the point where he didn't have reference material for the ones, because I had a more complete collection than he did. So then I had to go find him the rare figures, and that became part of our trade for the other ones. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for bringing that and sharing it, because it was still one of my favorite things I've ever seen at Comic-Con.
Thank you.
One of my favorite things at Comic-Con is, we were talking about this briefly before the show, but the 2015 Special Ed Stormtrooper Protester figure, which I think we have a photo of if you're watching the video version. I just think that's so fun, especially because, I realize there are protesters everywhere, but there are obviously these protesters at San Diego Comic-Con, and it felt like just such a unique tie-in that no one had ever done,
It was really, there's a perfect example of something that, you put out and then you realize you don't have enough.
Yeah.
We could have sold 500 of those, and the edition was 20, 30. And he made other versions later, but it was so unique. And you have the Lego version.
Yeah.
It just, because those protesters were just sort of part of Comic-Con culture, and once you saw the toy of it, and that's, I think, one of the beauties of this little small scene is that the amount of time that it takes for a large company to really transform something and get it to market. A lot of these artists, overnight or the next day, can see something on the news, something funny can happen, and boom, you look at their Instagram the next day, the same day sometimes, The Mike Pence fly incident at the
Yeah.
one of the, oh, look at this, Ian is jumping around here and he's on the fly going and finding stuff
Wow.
as we're talking about it. This was a few of the different versions. What is this? He changed it up with different Stormtroopers and stuff like that. So that actually just showed that one. The fly incident, I think within 24 hours, like 4 or 5 people had all made a different fly figure. Edwin Salas, who I remember, who I mentioned before, sculpted one out of wood, and Medusa's Wild took a Baxter Stockman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figure and turned it into, that one. And it just, the speed is just amazing. And it's topical. And, it's sort of like the difference between like South Park and Simpsons, right? Both, Simpsons, they have to prepare 6 months or a year ahead of time, and South Park can make a show in a few weeks. And so something happens on the news, like you can make fun of it, not in real time, but, in very close proximity.
This might be a difficult question to answer, and obviously your Buona Spoon's painting collection might rank high up there, but do you have any personal favorite pieces, or do you hang on to one of everything? Are you selective about what you keep?
Oh no. Oh, you're gonna out me here.
No.
It's unmanageable. How's that? My intent at some point is to do a book focused on Star Wars inspiration in handmade art toys. And so I do try to can't possibly get one of everything, but I definitely chase after a lot. The collection is in the thousands of figures. It's kind of crazy. And I'm a Star Wars art collector to begin with. And so this is just sort of an extension of that, I guess, if that makes sense. So I recognize that I can't have everything, but I try.
Just consider yourself a curator. You're not just a collector, you're a curator.
There you go.
Thank you. I will can you have a conversation with my wife? No. My wife is like super supportive. Fortunately, we do have a warehouse, and I can keep my stuff at the warehouse and not the house. But then the stuff that I have at the house is another problem, so we won't even go into it.
Well, obviously this year's San Diego Comic-Con is coming up, and I know you can't show us anything from this year, but is there anything you can tell us about this year?
One of my favorite artists is Scott C, and we will have.
Oh, we love Scott C.
We will have a follow-up to. Do we have the card art for Scott C? I guess I can show you the card art if you want. Don't have a finished. I'll just take the card. Here's the card art for Scott C.
That's so fun.
A little Spinal Tap with Stonehenge. What else do we got? Ian's running around the office trying to think like what he can grab. Okay. So one of the really fun things we had the pleasure of releasing in 2013 was the first Phantom Starkiller figure from Killer Bootlegs. And since then, Super 7 has put out Phantom Starkiller figures. Scout Comics has released the comic series, and they continue to. This is I think one of the first releases that Scout and Killer Bootlegs did in collaboration, in a very kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style. This is not on our site yet, but will be next week. With this blue version, this prototype edition is on our site. So what we get is a lot of what are called tribute figures, where other people, and they call Killer Bootlegs and say, hey, I want to make a figure of your thing, and they give them a figure or something. So Figure Fetish made this figure here. It's called the Phantom Jawa Killer. You can see it's got the Phantom Starkiller colors. And Phantom Starkiller is is kind of, it's kind of an amazing story. It's, this guy, Peter Killer Bootlegs, he made this character. And yes, it has a Darth Vader chest plate, and it has the Charon from Clash of the Titans, and it's got the different pieces. But even as Super 7 put out their version of it, it's sort of, I don't know, it's sort of just all melded together, if that makes sense, and became its own thing. And it just works aesthetically, and the story that he came up with is strong, and the comic book works. And it just seems like anytime he does anything, it sells out and people buy it. So it's like, it's a great example of someone in this scene sort of making, borrowing, which was what Star Wars did in the first place. Star Wars borrowed from samurai films and Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers and all of that stuff. And then it became its own thing. And then people borrow from that, and then it becomes its own thing. And it's all, we're all drinking from the same trough. I'm mixing my metaphors. I don't know. So, it's an exciting time to watch. And I think what these, we're always sort of like ahead of the curve. And you'll start to see 5 and 10 years down the line, these bigger companies will sort of pick up on it. And if someone would call me, I could give them a whole bunch of ideas of how they could make money, but they don't want to hear from me.
Well, speaking of being ahead of the curve, we had a question in the chat, and Andy Wagner asked, did Scott C put out that Spinal Tap set knowing that they were going to make a sequel? Because I think we just heard that news.
I did not know that.
Like a few weeks ago. Well, there you go. Even more timely.
Yeah, no, this was because we had to make the card back. I think this was probably printed 6 months ago. So
even more timely. There you go.
Yeah, just sort of magic. So
that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And before you go, why don't you tell our readers where they can find you online?
The best place to follow us is on Instagram at DKE Toys. It's really the place where is most conducive for us to post photos of everything that we're doing. It does automatically post rather to Twitter and Facebook if those are your only mediums there. DKEtoys.com has our store. It's got our blog on there where we list everything, and we still have a Flickr page, which people laugh at me. But if you go there, there's an album in there for each show going all the way back to 2005, the art shows that we've curated, the conventions that we've done, and it's sort of like a whole history.
That's absolutely where I pulled that One of Spoons photo that we showed.
So it's really a fantastic resource. If people ask questions, and I always refer them to the page. And there's pictures of our booths from San Diego going back, 15 years. So you can go see what our booth looked like in 2007 and what we were trying to, there's pictures of me standing in the middle of crowds, like handing out tickets. And those are very different years.
Yeah, it's changed a little.
Indeed.
Yes, it has. Well, again, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and everybody should definitely check out DKE. And we will, as always, be posting your exclusives when you start to announce them next month. And we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. Thanks again for all your hard work. With regard to San Diego, I think you make everyone's job of going there. There's so much information, and to have someone, a group of people take all the information and put it there where you can find it all, because that's sort of the worst part about it, is just trying to get information. And there's just, thousands of entities all trying to do their own stuff. And the fact that you take the time to put it all there is just really fantastic. And the support for DKE over the years is tremendous. So we really appreciate all your hard work.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you. Yeah.
And thanks for joining us. So we will see you at the show.
You got it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, well, we are going to stay on and do the news, but first we have a couple of reader questions that I wanted to get to, if that's okay.
That's fine. I'll allow it.
Moneybags asks, my badge mailing shows pending. Is something wrong with it? My guess, honestly, is that means that they may be getting ready to actually mail badges. If it shows your mailing badge is pending, I mean, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but I would think that means they are about to start sending. So that is good news. Yes.
Printing labels and such, probably.
Yep. I think we've been kind of expecting to see badges here probably within the next like 2 weeks or so. The official answer is like 3 to 4 weeks before the con, but it's usually more like 5 to 6. So yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Nico Holt asked, hello, question. Do you know when people will receive an email for a raffle ticket for Comic-Con autographs? So I'm going to assume that you are talking about the portal, which is where you sign up for exclusives and select autographs. As always, autographs are not a one size fits all. Everybody does them differently. But for a couple of the big companies like WB, usually Comic-Con in the past couple of years has used their exclusives portal where for some really big autographs you can sign up. And it's basically a lottery that way. That the last 2 conventions has happened within a day of each other, which I think was like June 27th.
Yes, that is correct. 27th.
Yep. I was like, I swear, I know one of the dates was June 27th. I don't know if the other date was like June 26th or 28th. I don't know. But I would assume the end of this month, because the last, like I said, 2 conventions literally happened like on the same freaking date. Comic-Con likes to stay consistent, I would guess, at the end of this month. And then Nico Holt also asked, Sci-Fi Live at Comic-Con, is it coming back this year? I do not know. I have not heard anything, but that doesn't mean anything at all. Once we know anything, we will let you guys know. Yeah, I think those were all the reader questions that I saw. Anybody see anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, let's get into the news. I will do this first one because it's kind of weird. Disney's Hamster and Gretel, it sounds like we'll be getting some kind of a presence at the convention. The series creator said on TikTok that the intro to the series, which is an animated series, would be previewed at the convention. My guess is that it will be part of a larger Disney Channel animation panel with a couple of other shows like they've done in the past, but we will see.
And we also have news that George R.R. Martin will be attending Comic-Con this year. He posted about it on his blog that he won't be going to Worldcon, but will be at San Diego Comic-Con. The only instance he said that would keep him from it this time is, of course, the full cancellation of the con. So it looks like we're getting something from him. We don't know what. It's just that he's going to be there. And there is a HBO series called House of the Dragon coming out only a few weeks after Comic-Con. So you may be able to put 2 and 2 together. And
you know what,
we'll see.
We will see. You know what, though? So I think House of the Dragon is a lock for the convention, but I don't necessarily know that George R.R. Martin being there or not has anything to do with that, mostly because I think we looked it up and I think he was only on like 1 panel for the series, maybe more than that, but I don't think he was on the last couple. No. But either way, I don't think there's any world in which House of the Dragon does not go to Comic-Con.
Right.
Some big news from the Japanese mecha and anime artist, Hidetaka Tenjin. Hidetaka Tenjin is going to be coming over, and I believe from what I've been able to gather from some of the posts I've been reading, they are going to be collaborating, Udon and Tenjin, for a new project. I don't know if it's a book project. I'm not sure exactly what the project is. I haven't been able to read between the lines, but they have something going on that they're going to be announcing, and it's a pretty big deal to have Tenjin come all the way to the San Diego Comic-Con. So I think it is a print publication. The press release said he's teaming up with Udon for his first overseas publication. So yes.
I feel like that's, yeah. Yes.
Is it going to be a big hardcover book, an art book? Something new.
I do not know that.
Tell us. We need the details.
But when we know, it will be up on our
Yes.
site because
Yep.
I know Eric and he will send it to me. So
And we don't keep anything back. It's not like we've got secrets that we're just not telling people. Once we hear it, we'll tell people. So we've got a few new commissions that got added to the commission post. Our open commissions for San Diego Comic-Con. I think Andy added Bill Walco, Steve Bryant, and Lori Hansen recently.
Yep.
As soon as we find out information, as soon as we see it, we send it over to Andy and he gets that added. So it's constantly, it seems like daily it's been changing. But if you are hankering to commission some fine folks for some original art, that is the page for you. That is our list of open artist commissions for San Diego Comic-Con.
moving on to offsites, James.
Offsites. The first one up is Paramount Plus is bringing for the, what is it, the 40th anniversary of the Wrath of Khan. They're doing a kind of like a few different things, but they're bringing it to Comic-Con, and it's called the Wrath of Pecan. It's an ice cream. The Cool House ice cream truck is coming to Comic-Con and helping to celebrate by dishing out ice cream, which is pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
You
Literally.
you cannot go wrong with any kind of free food, drink,
No.
any kind of sustenance during
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
And by the way, if you read the name Wrath of Pecan, you're wondering why there's a P in front of con. You're like, what's going on? But then if you say it out loud, that's when you get it. At least for me. It took me a little bit.
See, it did not. I was like ice cream, pecan, butter.
Yeah, I got
Not
it like
me.
instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and
No,
pecan.
you and Kim were both like, "Oh, I get it now," and I'm like, "What? Like, did people not get it?" I guess
No.
we should have like
You
spelled
need-
that out in the article.
yeah, they should have actually written it's pecan ice cream, and they're like, oh.
And
that-
the picture that we saw, somebody from New York, it looked like butter pecan.
Yeah,
That's what it looked like to me.
So
They
if
may
you're
all-
that's what
wondering
it
what
or
it
something
is,
else.
it's just butter pecan ice cream.
Not just,
But it's
Oh,
free.
sorry.
just
It's free.
It's free butter
Free.
pecan ice cream.
Star Trek themed butter
Yes.
pecan ice cream.
Yes, which makes it immediately better.
Absolutely.
One of the other offsites that we heard about was the Nintendo Switch road trip. They are going to be setting up at the Petco Park Interactive Zone from Thursday through Sunday. They're going to have lots of game demos and photo opportunities and free swag, which we all love. One of the ways that you can reserve something that they're calling a Warp Pipe Pass, and you can register for the event starting at 10 a.m. on July 15th. That's going to be for the Thursday slots to play the games. After that, it's going to be available the night before. So for Friday and Saturday, they're going to be available at 5 p.m. the evening before each day. So if you want to play on Thursday, get there to register on July 15th. If you want to play Friday or Saturday, you'll have to register the night before.
Yep.
So, and we are not sure exactly, before somebody asked, we are not sure exactly if this is replacing the Nintendo Game Lounge that we have seen, or if this is going to be in addition to it. We don't know yet. This is the only thing that we have heard about so far for Nintendo.
Yep. Okay, so Xavier Behavior just said in the chat, crossing my fingers for Apple TV Plus and HBO Max. Well, Xavier, I might have some good news for you because I talked to GDX Studios, which is an offsite company, or rather, they're a marketing agency that helps put together some of the offsites that we all love in the past. That has included like IMDb Vote, TBS Wrecked Island, Adult Swim on the Green, some of the Mr. Robot pop-ups. And then they also ran, when Petco Park changed over from Petco Park Interactive Zone to the Experience, they ran that. But we talked to them about basically what we should expect this year. They had a lot of really good news. They said that they are back to pre-pandemic levels as far as companies reaching out to them that want to be a part of the convention. And they said Much like their increasing presence in the media world, look for streaming services like Apple TV Plus and Netflix to have a major presence at Comic-Con this year, and I believe this will only increase going forward. So that is not full confirmation that Netflix and Apple TV Plus are going to be there this year, but I think that is a very solid sign. And if you heard me be very excited last week for Apple TV Plus, I am very excited for this news. So let's hope that leads to good things. Bring your scripted shows, Apple, not just the Dino show, please.
Manifest it, Carrie. Come on.
I'm trying. It didn't work with Mr. Robot Ferris wheel. No. So what's gonna happen is I got a Ferris wheel at Comic-Con, but it was not Mr. Robot. I'm gonna get Apple TV Plus, but it's gonna be that prehistoric show,
That dinosaur show.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be like, this is not what I wanted, universe. But fingers crossed. So picky. I know. I'm the worst. One other party that we want to mention is our own. Yes. We'll be presenting the Gary Olympics on Sunday, July 24th, which Gary is actually, he's right behind me.
Dun, dun, dun,
Gary
dun,
himself,
dun,
right
dun,
here.
dun,
Yes,
dun, dun,
he
dun.
is our, not really our mascot, but kind of our mascot.
He's the anti-mascot.
He's the anti-mascot. Yes, he is our prize dragon. We will be hosting a party in his honor where we will have trivia, games like guess the weight of this swag bag. We're gonna have you guys like see how many Funko Pops you can stack. We're gonna have some other really fun stuff. You get 2 drink tickets, a goodie bag, which is gonna have some stuff from us, Nick Kerminick, maybe some other people. I don't know. We're gonna give away a bunch of prizes, which will include a whole lot of companies that we will be announcing later. We also have a t-shirt, and let me refresh this page and tell you exactly how many tickets I have left, because it's not many.
And the t-shirt is for there's 2
VIP
levels of
only.
tickets. Yes.
Yes.
We got 2 levels of tickets. Okay.
Yes. There are 12 tickets remaining for
What?
our party.
Are you
12 tickets, including only 4 general admission. So if you want to attend our party, you should possibly purchase them like now.
Now. Not when you're listening to this, if you're not listening to this live, because they'll probably be sold out by then, because that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But now.
Yeah.
Not then, now.
Yes.
Plus, we're going to be there. Most of us are going to be there.
We'll be there. It's gonna be really fun. I promise.
And
now,
the
is that
place
really that's not necessarily a selling point. Just keep selling Gary's going to be there.
Oh, sorry. The place
Gary.
looks great too. The
Gary.
location.
Gary will be there.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's at the garage.
It is at the garage, which isn't that far from the conventions.
It's on 6th Avenue. I think that's right. Short walk. It's a short walk. It's not as far as you had to walk for Conan. So
No, it's a very short walk. So
Shannon Cooper asked in the chat, if I have a normal ticket, can I upgrade to a VIP?
yes, you can. I need to look into how, but I'm positive I remember seeing that setting. So Shannon, email me at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com and we will figure it out together.
and if you haven't seen those shirts, they're pretty great.
They are pretty great. And
Sarah did a pretty great job.
Yes. And there will also be, in addition to the shirts, we'll have another special surprise for the VIPs that we have not unveiled yet, in part because I haven't quite decided between a couple of things. But we're going to have something else really cool for the VIP people.
They're all VIPs in our heart, though, right?
In our heart. But
In our
not
heart.
on
In
their
our heart.
tickets.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we have some exclusive news.
We do.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Let's start with JYK All Day, otherwise known as Jin Young Kim. We've got an 11 by 7. Is it 11 by 17 or 11 by 14? It's a limited edition print, as you can see right here on your screen for Turning Red. I love
11 by 14.
11 by 14. Okay. I absolutely love the frame around it. It's so great. It looks all like carved wood. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful print.
I know he did a great job.
Very excited for that one. And that's the first thing we've seen from him. The first of, I'm assuming it's going to be, there's going to be several things.
Yeah. He always does
has-
really fun stuff. And I've been saying for years, I'm like, we should like give him his own post because I really like what he's doing.
Yep.
And this year I've remembered is really what happened. But but he does really cool stuff. So we're excited to showcase him a little bit more.
And I think we had him on during pandemic, the close down years, where he had his own like convention in his office essentially.
You're
and
thinking
showed
of
off his stuff.
I think you're thinking of Martin too.
Oh, so someone else. I thought he came on. Oh well.
They both have done
Those
turning red
pandemic
art.
years are just a,
Yep.
a blur, right?
Mhm.
There you go. I'll blame that.
Yes.
Next up, we have Factory Entertainment. And
Yes.
they have, let's see here, we have the Wonder Woman flying disc, the Princess Bride puzzle, and the Yellow Submarine chrome art statue. All of those are now available to order online to be shipped directly to you, or you can pick them up at the show in limited quantities. There is also the ET CHS keychain and pin set. All of these, again, are available now. And also, if you check out on the site on our post for Factory, you can also win some of these items. So you can go and enter on our site. But again, you can buy them right now and have them shipped to you, or pick them up at the show.
Okay, before I do this next one, a couple of comments in the chat. DZone21 said, just bought some tickets. See there? So there are now actually, I believe, 11 tickets. Let's look.
She's refreshing now.
I am refreshing. Yeah, there's 11 tickets. Trip Force asked, we'll be making shirts available for Patreon supporters to order if they can't attend the convention. Shoot me an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com and maybe. And then JG said, do we have to be present for SDCC blog party to get a shirt? If we buy tickets only, but do not attend. I mean, if you want to pay $70 just for a shirt, like I'm not going to stop you and I will happily mail that for free. You can also email me at SD.
You will not mail the drinks, though.
I will not.
I'm
mail
sorry.
you a drink.
The drink
No.
tickets will be donated to the team.
Yes, for sure. But yes, I mean, if that's something that you want to do, like I said, you can totally email me at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com and we can probably work something out. Moving on, Patrick Ballesteros has a couple of new exclusives, mostly around one of my favorite shows right now, Our Flag Means Death. So he showed off this new print today, which is 10 by 10 called What's Crackin', which shows the whole crew. And then he also over the weekend showed off a smaller piece, which he said was going to be a sticker and possibly a small print. No price on that, but the What's Crackin' is $20. I think these are just so cute. And if you have not watched the show, you should. It's on HBO Max, who I'm also hoping shows up.
How terrible for you, Carrie, to have to talk about one of your least favorite artists doing artwork for your least favorite show.
I would also like to make it known that I'm pretty sure I like peer pressured Patrick into making this, because he did the wave your flag with pride one, and then I emailed him and I was like, are you gonna do anything else? And I was like,
please
let me like tell you some stories about how I helped a guy sell out of something at WonderCon because I tweeted he had Our Flag Means Death related bit. And then Patrick made this. So thank you, Patrick, who's not gonna listen to this, but thank you.
What else is Patrick doing?
Patrick also has a triptych for Spider-Man Far From Home. He revealed the third piece, which is that Strange Times. They are available for...
And look how great they all look together.
Really
That's
do.
pretty, that's pretty great.
They're available for $12 each. You can get the full set for $30 for a cotton special.
And then finally, we have another set of exclusives from Priscilla Wilson. Valor and Vellum. And she revealed that she is going to do a limited edition blind bags pin set where you can get these pins, all the different varieties that you're shown there. The only one that's not pictured is the raw pin proto. And you can buy a blind bag for $12. There's going to be 606 of them. And you can check out the site to see all the different percentages of rarity. But basically, you got a chance to get any one of those different colored pins. And there's also a couple of glow-in-the-dark pins.
And it looks like that the yellow one on the left-hand side, it looks all glittery. Do you see that?
That one would be the glitter pin.
Yeah. I think that, yep. I like them all.
There's a gold plated,
really
a glitter,
cool. Yeah.
a couple of pinks, a glow pink and a regular pink, and a silver glow, and then the common one, and then the raw pin proto again that is not shown. So all kinds of cool stuff.
For sure. And I'm just going to say this. Priscilla will be part of our prize mule this year. And I truly have no idea what she's giving us, but she told me that when people see it, they will be very jealous. So I'm excited to see what she's giving us, honestly. But we will be giving something away from her.
We are not eligible to win.
No, we are not.
I've been reminded of that many times.
So Maya asked in the chat, how does one actually get a Patrick Ballestero print at the con? Is there a secret to getting in his line or something? And it's basically just, getting there and getting in line and hope you're in line before they cap it, essentially.
Yeah. I feel like he's pretty much the only one in Artist Alley who has a line that is capped. Just look for the really long line with line volunteers in Artist Alley. Yeah.
There you go. Just head on over there first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Also, let's mention that even though they don't have any new exclusives, NECA did announce today that they are having a second sale because they had a bunch of bots and stuff buying, and they got canceled all those orders, and all of the available stock that they would have sold in the first sale is now available in the second sale. It's going to be probably really limited, but if there was something you missed out on the first sale, here's your second chance, and it is tomorrow at, I think it's 3 p.m. Pacific.
12 p.m. Pacific.
12 p.m. Pacific. I saw 3 p.m.
It was 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific.
Okay. All righty. And I think that's it for...
Can I give them props this year, though, NECA? They're on the online purchasing went so smooth. And I heard so many people say the same thing. There were no hiccups, no hangups. It was pretty great.
That's awesome.
Besides if bots bought a bunch of stuff.
Right. But still,
for a human, it went well.
Yes. Nika Holt asked, when will Comic-Con be making their t-shirts, or what will they look like this year? We don't know what they're going to look like for this year, but I would think that they would go on up here within the next couple weeks. They'll do something. They've done merch at every one of their conventions.
Yeah, and it'll be it'll probably be the normal variety they've done the last few years, where it's a selection of shirts and bags and pins and dice and tikis possibly, and just a nice variety of stuff.
What I hope though that they bring back is the pre-order for San Diego. I hope that they let people pre-order again for pickup, because I liked that process.
And Ryan Gravador just asked, what are the range of hours that are asked of volunteers? Actually, Andy just wrote a post, I think it was last week, where he gets into detail and explains pretty much everything you need to know about being a volunteer. So go onto the site and check out the volunteer post. It's great. It gives you how many hours you're expected to work, when you need to check in, all of those details. So all of your questions can be answered on the site with that post. I would say 99% of all questions.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that we have a contest hub on the site. So if you do not have a ticket and you are looking to maybe try and win one, check it out on the site. There's a contest hub. And also, I would like to mention, I don't think that we mention this on the podcast very often, but every day, almost every other day, one of the other people besides me that writes things creates the under the tents column on the site. And in that under the tents column is so much information about all of the things that are coming to Comic-Con that just aren't enough information to get a whole post, like someone's bringing a debut, or someone's showing up at the con, or someone's signing at a specific table, or something like that. And all of that information, you could basically, as it gets closer to the con, those things come out daily and sometimes 2 a day. There's so much information coming out. And that is a great resource if you're looking for just some little things that are coming out, or just keeping updated on all the massive information that's coming, that is coming out for Comic-Con, that's not coming from like one of the huge vendors that gets their own post.
Absolutely. We love our under the tents section just because it is a chance, you know, to, like you said, to spotlight a lot of things that aren't big enough for a whole post.
Yeah, because we want every single bit of information possible about Comic-Con to get to you, to be available to you on the site. And there's, I mean, we can't write, you know, 200 posts a day, but we can write one post with just little 1-2 sentences about each thing and just put it in there and let you go through and sort through and find what you want to find. So that's definitely a great thing. And of course, there is a search function. So you can always just type in something you may be looking for and hope you can find it.
Yep. I wanted to real quick mention a couple things because I did a lightning round of questions on Twitter yesterday, and we had a couple of really common questions. Number one is, when will people get the results of the parking lottery? And the answer to that is June 13th. If you have not entered yet, you have until June 12th to enter. And then on June 13th, they'll tell you whatever your group is and you can purchase. We also had a lot of people asking about the badges for kids who would have been free children in 2020, but are in that weird range where like they aged out and should be juniors now. So long as you emailed and followed all the instructions that you were supposed to, you should, they said the second week of June is when they would be emailing, which is this week. So hopefully we hear something on that this week. Also, what I'm hoping we hear something on this week is the reopening of pro registration for any professionals who registered in 2019, 2020 before they closed it. When the pandemic happened, those people automatically rolled. But if you didn't register before they closed it early, you are still eligible as long as you were eligible in 2020. And they have said that they will be reopening that. They said within the next week or two.
They said 2 weeks, which is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. So I'm like, they've got one more day and then they're late. So we'll see if it comes out tomorrow. But yeah, all those things we are waiting on, and that is where we are on those.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. And we'll do some more of those quick, Q&As as we go moving forward. But you can always check out if you ever see one and just click on that and just see what other people are asking and what we're answering, and see if we've answered your question.
Yes. And for the record, I mean, like, you can always tweet us questions. Like, we answer questions all the time. We mostly do those lightning rounds just because it's a good way to get like a bunch of common questions, and it's easy for people to then scroll through and see, what did people ask in this? But there will definitely be more of those. I also wanted to mention our attendee of the week, which is a cool little way for you to be featured on our site and for you to talk all about all the things that you love about Comic-Con. We do a new one every Friday, and you can enter, and we have all those instructions on our site. We also have a Patreon, and if you are one of our Patreon members, thank you so much. We adore you guys. You help keep the lights on, and we've been trying, to give you guys some cool perks, like we let them get our party tickets first, and we will be doing a Patreon only hangout here later this month. Yeah, you can find all the information for that on our site as well. But again, if you're one of our patrons, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? Are we done for the week? I think that's all the news. Any more questions?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking.
Unless anything has popped up in the last 2 hours.
I would say that if for people that are asking questions about specific things, like maybe about what offsites are coming or exclusives, we, of course, will reveal everything, all the information we get as we get it onto the site. We have different, pages on the site just for, like, if you go up on the top on the banner, there's pages for exclusives, there's pages for offsites. We have a calendar which lists everything by the day. So, if you are looking for anything specific, basically, if it's not on our site right now, there's basically a 100% chance that we don't have any information yet because it hasn't been revealed. So everything that if you have a question and it's not on the site, that means we don't know it. So go look on the site, and every week we'll be here to answer questions about what's happened in the last week, anything that you can, that you may think of while you're watching. So feel free to ask the questions, but also just remember that the site has all the information.
Yes. We post everything there, everything that we possibly humanly can. And we have tried to make it as easy as possible for you guys. Shannon Cooper just said that general admission tickets for the after party have sold out. So
that's crazy talk. That is wild.
Thank you guys for that.
When we put the tickets up, I had a personal goal, and like we blew past that, and I'm just floored. It's so awesome. I'm so excited.
Sir Lister Smeg mentioned that both Carrie and I have the same print in the background by Patrick, and it's actually this one right here. And it was one that he did specially for us, and each person is, each of the characters is a member of the blog team, and he did that just for us as a thank you gift, and it was really awesome.
Minus me. Awesome. That was before my time.
Before Aaron's time.
It's
not on.
okay.
He didn't leave her out.
Aaron's gonna like go to his booth and like lay one down and be like, draw me. Just add me in the corner.
Draw me like one of your blog people. Come on.
Oh, absolutely. Wow.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's
it.
All right. So we're going to be back next week, as I mentioned. More news, more exciting and interesting views. We're going to have a special guest. Who is our special guest going to be, Carrie?
It is actually going to be Nancy and Jake Scornavaco from Sweet Things Frozen Yogurt, which is over at the Bayfront. And that's going to be a really fun time. We love Sweet Things. They have Dole Whip. They are open special hours just for Comic-Con. They are awesome. We love Sweet Things.
One of the things that we talk about a lot, we're always really curious about how the folks in San Diego like prepare for Comic-Con. Yeah. So this is our way of finding out. We're gonna ask a lot of nosy questions.
Yes. And I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say who we have on the following week as well. It's going to be all Bayfront all the time here for a little while, because the following week we have the actual Bayfront on to talk about what's new and what it's like for a hotel to help host one of these events.
Let's fix the English a little bit here, the grammar, because the hotel itself is not coming on.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yes, it is someone from the Hilton Bayfront. I think they know we're not going to go and interview the actual building, James.
Well, I know that, but I have to do some kind of dumb joke every show, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. So thank you all for listening. I think we skipped signing up for the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. There's word searches and things.
And yes. We send them out on Tuesdays, and they're fun, and it's a good way to make sure you didn't miss any news.
And so thank you all again for joining us. And Aaron, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Yes, I am on Twitter and on Instagram at Bavarian Aaron. Carrie, James. No, who do I can't remember who I'm supposed to ask. James.
Ask Carrie.
Carrie.
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon, if you can spell it. James, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for all the social media and other links for my wife and I. And my wife, Beth, of course, is the producer of the show. She edits it. She creates the slides and all the other things that get this podcast done.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Yes. We are.
And you should, if you don't follow Beth on Instagram,
you should.
You're missing out. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, James, where can we find Beth on the
Beth
internet?
is everywhere online at Trekkie Beth. That's with an IE. Not in the Beth, in the Trekkie.
Okay. Yeah, her Star Wars Celebration pictures have
top notch, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yes. We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up in the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes. And as Headless Ned Stark noted in the chat, don't forget to hit that like button if you are one of the people watching us live on YouTube.
Smash it. You have to smash the like button. Smash
But
that
isn't there?
like
I
button.
mean, I've seen a few YouTube videos. I don't watch very much YouTube, but I've seen a few, and it's like you smash the like button and hit the little bell, ring the bell, or something like that. Subscribe, like, bell, whatever the things are. You got to hit all the buttons, except for the one with the down thumb. Don't hit the down
No.
thumb. That one will blow up your computer.
Yes, yes, it will.
If you want to get a hold of us and yell at us for all of my lame jokes, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all. Let me do that again. sd_comic_con.
You guys
Thank
know
you
where
all.
to find us.
You know where
on
to find
Twitter. I mean, come on. All right. Thank
Everybody.
you for listening.
Thank you.
Go
Go
Sharma.
Sharma.
Uh,
I'm just going to stay silent this time.